Welcome to Scary Stories, the YouTube channel where we share the most bone-chilling tales from around the world. Today's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of the virtual world, and how the line between reality and fantasy can become dangerously thin. In this tale, we follow the journey of an IT person who spent months creating a virtual world, only to find himself trapped within it. What began as a fun and exciting project quickly turned into a nightmare, as he was pursued by a terrifying creature known as the Big Bad Wolf. As he struggles to survive in this twisted world, the IT person realizes that the line between reality and fantasy has blurred beyond recognition. He knows that he must find a way out before it's too late, but the wolf and its minions are always one step ahead. Join us as we take a deep dive into this haunting story, and explore the dangers that lurk in the virtual world. Will the IT person escape his nightmare, or will he be trapped forever in his own creation? Tune in to find out, and prepare to be scared like never before. As he explored further, the IT person realized that his virtual world had taken on a life of its own. The wolf was not the only inhabitant, and the other creatures in the virtual world were becoming increasingly aggressive and dangerous. The IT person tried to shut down the virtual world, but the controls were unresponsive. As he frantically searched for a solution, he realized that the virtual world had somehow become connected to his own mind. The wolf and the other creatures were now extensions of his own fears and anxieties, and they were growing stronger by the minute. As the night wore on, the IT person's grip on reality began to slip. He was trapped in a virtual world of his own making, with no way out. The wolf and the other creatures were closing in, and he could feel their hot breath on his neck. Suddenly, the IT person woke up with a start. It had all been a dream, or so he thought. But as he looked around his room, he saw that his computer screen was still glowing. The virtual world was still there, waiting for him. In a panic, the IT person tried to shut down the program, but it was no use. The wolf and the other creatures were back, and this time they were real. They had somehow crossed over from the virtual world into the real world. As the IT person backed away in fear, the wolf stepped forward, its jaws open wide. The IT person knew then that he was trapped, and that there was no escape from his own creation. The IT person tried to run, but the wolf was too fast. It leapt forward and sank its teeth into his arm. The pain was intense, and the IT person cried out in terror. He knew he had to do something, but he was paralyzed with fear. As the wolf pulled back, the IT person saw that its eyes were glowing red. It was as if the creature was possessed by some dark force. The other creatures from the virtual world were closing in, their fangs bared and their claws at the ready. In a last desperate effort, the IT person reached for his computer and smashed it to the ground. As the screen shattered, the wolf and the other creatures disappeared, sucked back into the virtual world. The IT person lay on the ground, panting and sweating. He knew he had narrowly escaped a terrible fate. From that day on, he vowed never to create anything like that virtual world again. He knew that the line between reality and fantasy was all too thin, and that sometimes the things we create can take on a life of their own. The IT person spent the next few weeks recovering from his injuries, both physical and mental. He had nightmares every night, haunted by the memory of the wolf's glowing red eyes and hot breath on his neck. But as the weeks turned into months, the IT person started to feel better. He started to put the incident behind him and focus on his work. He even started to think about creating a new virtual world, one that was safe and free from the horrors of the last one. One day, as he was working on his computer, the IT person heard a faint whispering. At first, he thought it was just his imagination, but the whispers grew louder and more insistent. The IT person turned around and saw a faint shimmering in the air. It was like a portal to another world, and he could feel a strange pull towards it. The whispers were coming from beyond the portal, and they were calling out his name. The IT person knew he should run, but he couldn't resist the call of the whispers. He stepped towards the portal, and as he did, the shimmering grew brighter and more intense. Suddenly, he was sucked into the portal, and he found himself standing in a new virtual world. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before. The colors were brighter, the air was fresher, and the creatures were friendly and welcoming. As the IT person explored this new world, he felt a sense of joy and wonder that he had never experienced before. He knew that he had finally found the safe and happy virtual world he had always wanted to create. But as he settled into his new world, the IT person couldn't help but wonder what had happened to the old one. He knew that the wolf and the other creatures were still out there, waiting to trap unsuspecting victims in their virtual world. And so, the IT person vowed to use his newfound knowledge and power to protect others from the dangers of the virtual world. He knew that the line between reality and fantasy was all too thin, but he also knew that he could use that line to create something truly magical and life-changing. As the IT person sat back in his chair, thinking about all that had happened, he realized that his story was one that needed to be shared. He knew that there were others out there who had created their own virtual worlds, and who might be facing the same dangers that he had. And so, he decided to share his story with the world. He reached out to the creators of the Scary Stories YouTube channel, and they were eager to feature his tale. The video went live, and within hours, it had thousands of views. People from all over the world were commenting and sharing their own stories of virtual worlds gone wrong. Some had faced similar dangers to the IT person, while others had encountered strange glitches and anomalies that had left them questioning their own sanity. But through it all, the IT person's story had given them hope. It had shown them that even in the darkest of times, there was always a way out. And that by sharing their own stories, they could help others who might be facing similar challenges. And so, the IT person joined the Scary Stories YouTube channel, becoming a regular contributor and sharing his knowledge and experience with others. Together, they worked to shine a light on the dangers of the virtual world, and to help others create safe and happy spaces online. In the end, the IT person realized that his experiences had led him down a path he never could have imagined. But he was grateful for the journey, and for the opportunity to make a difference in the world. And he knew that as long as he stayed vigilant, he could help others avoid the dangers of the virtual world and find their own path to happiness and fulfillment.